hello. How long have you been there? Well, new month, new podcast roundup where I tell you who we have visiting us this month on Leading with Integrity. And August is not going to disappoint. This week I'm joined by Richard Lee, who is not only an entrepreneur, a non-exec, a business advisor, but he's also now a podcast host himself too. So we'll be digging into the productivity conundrum, talking about the practical use of some of these newer ideas like the 4-day work week, for example. Hybrid working comes up a lot as well. He has some very interesting COVID experience that we discussed too. So great episode this week, out on Wednesday. Next week, executive coach, speaker, and leadership trainer Daphne Valcin will be here to talk about influence, work-life balance, and other myths. Some brilliant leadership lessons, as well as how to get the most from your career journey, like positioning for that promotion that you want in the future, or making yourself a more effective leader. And on Wednesday the 20th, I will be having a wonderful conversation with Vaishali Shah about her 25 years in business, the lessons taken from running multiple international businesses, growing up in a family business as well, and the insights into leadership, management, business, and more that have come from these experiences. And then we'll be rounding out the month with my fourth guest, Mr. Gary Parsons. He is a keynote speaker, a mentor. He's an expert in leadership, well-being, and creator of Selfish Leadership. So tune in to find out more about that. Gary and I will be talking about mental health at work and for leaders, including some of his own experiences with that, the costs of success, why well-being should be much higher on the leadership agenda, and his idea of selfish leadership and what it really means, among other things. So it's another incredible month ahead with a variety of awesome guests as always. So tune in every Wednesday. Episodes drop at 8:30 in the morning, UK time, once a week. And keep watching now as well for a sneak preview of this month's episodes and guests. See ya.
4-day week is definitely something, if people are listening and they want to try it in their organisation, feel free to reach out to me. There's a 4-day week foundation as well, which has loads of tips and advice. I personally am a massive believer in it. And I think for me, like we said before, it's 100% productivity, 80% effort, 100% pay. 4-day week is not just getting people to condense their hours into 4 days, because ultimately they're still just working 40 hours or whatever hours they work. So I think there's a distinction there. Lots of people say we offer 4-day week, but actually what they mean is they allow you to do 4 10-hour days, and that's not the same as what 4-day week foundation would say is, literally you're cutting out a fifth of your week in time, but you're keeping your productivity high.
Yeah. I mean, it's that definition of productivity, isn't it? As we've discussed previously, but it's like, I mean, extra hours definitely isn't the way forward.
COVID and that move to hybrid working, I mean, I've personally been on hybrid working for ages, way before COVID, and the company I had was hybrid working all the way. But I think it has meant that 4-day week thing is more achievable now, because like you say, people can kind of get their head down in isolation if that's what works for them, and just have like a couple of days a week of power through work, and maybe another couple of days a week in the office where they're being more collaborative, and the aims of those days are different, and so that has opened up the opportunity, I think, to increase productivity.
If you feel like you need more time, what can you delete? What can you delay? And what do you actually need to do right now? So for me, that has been a game changer and allowed me to sleep. Whew. Even though I have all these things on my schedule, or just be present with my children, in front of them, looking into their eyes, not focused on other things, to have those moments. It means that I can't do everything myself, or I just can't do everything. I say no to a number of things. So the Eisenhower Matrix is one of those things. And then the second thing is, they say what you think about expands. So if you're like, I'm busy, I'm overwhelmed, think about, I make space for the things that I want to make time for. I make space for the things I want to make time for. Or if you're like me, you're trying to make sure you're spending time with your kids. What's one thing that I can do to spend quality time with this child today? What is one thing I can do to spend quality time with this specific child today? So think about the potential of your schedule. And this applies even if you're a career professional, thinking through what is one thing I can do today to move this priority forward? Just one big thing or one small thing that would make a big difference that can move this project forward, as opposed to feeling like you need to put in 6 hours, even though you need to, maybe 6 hours on a project. Think about what can you do that results in the biggest impact. So those are some things that have been helpful for me for work-life balance. It may never be perfect though, okay? But you can at least get closer to what it is you want to create when it comes to your balance.
Knowing what your values are, because sometimes, you have to make, as a founder, some tough decisions. And I think knowing your values, certainly for me, it's that anchor and it's that star that kind of guides me to making those decisions. So I'm very grateful for collaborations, for well-wishers, for peers, introducers of business. And for me, it's kind of respecting them and nurturing those client relationships or friendships. And also, you never know where your next champion's going to come from. So for me, kind of relationships has been something really important. I guess coming from a family business of 103 years, we have 3 generations worth of clients. So it's something that I learned from an early age over the breakfast table about nurturing those relationships. I'd also say a resilient and agile mindset is important, because as I alluded to, the world is changing, the economy is changing. When I started 25 years ago, we didn't have social media. The world was very, very different. I was designing for print, not for online. So I think having that agile mindset is important to kind of get you through business. It helped me, for example, when I set up my base in Dubai, I knew 3 people, but having that kind of agile mindset helped me kind of go through with that. So I'd say those are kind of key learnings, key lessons. I have lots more, but I'd say those are kind of some key ones.
The association that we have with mental health and severe depression, as I had as at the time, that we associate that with failure, or, which is a really hard word, so forgive me on that, but what we associate it with a business closing down or bad things happening. For me, I, through the team that I had around me, the co-director that I had around me, I found a way to keep on going and doing well. So I absolutely talk about it, because I'm one of the many people, I'm sure, but one of the very few people that outwardly talk about success and the growth and the amazing things that I've had alongside the word depression and mental health. And now I'm fully committed to what I set out on a mission last year, and I've wrote down on a piece of paper, and I've got all over documents all over my computer, which is to break the stigma of mental health and well-being within the world of leadership. And that's hopefully something that I'm doing very well, and it's something that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think one thing that strikes me about that story in particular, and I wonder how much of it we don't hear from others as well, is that those kind of mental health challenges aren't necessarily associated with that F word that you mentioned, and that sometimes people, like at the peak of their success, can be going through these challenges, these mental health struggles, depression, burnout, hyper stress, all of those kinds of things, and nobody knows, because it's not normalized to talk about it.